Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show. However, what Lin You needs to use now is his first skill, Strange Change. Because he suddenly remembered. If armored moss inherits this skill, wouldn't it be possible to change its own attributes? It's possible. In the previous 6th order, because the upper limit was not high, the difference between the attributes of armored moss and other arms was not too large. In addition, we must stay in the magic energy development territory, and we dare not spend too much. But it's different now. He has 7 million mana, and the 7th order arms also have the green gang of the royal family. After the willow has risen to the 7th rank, it is possible to copy the attributes of Qing gang. The more he thought about it, the more rapid Lin Yu's breathing became. If it is said that the armored moss, with the strange skill, can replicate the green gangster attribute, what will it look like? He couldn't imagine. At the same time, the action is not slow, and it directly mutates the willow. The mutation of the 7th order troops needs to consume 2,500 mana. Do you want to continue? Really? After the troops reached the 7th rank, the mutation consumption began to skyrocket. Directly from the original 250 to 2,500 points, the recruitment should be the same. However, he is so rich in mana now that he can still afford to consume this mana. Without any hesitation, he replied continue directly, and then kept his staggering skills. Next second. The willow was wrapped in light and gradually turned into a sunflower swaying in the wind. Name, Liang. Race, plant. Level 7, upgrade with the territory. Strength? Constitution, agile? Spirit? Skills, strange change, photosynthesis, convert sunlight into the power of nature, infuse it into other units, restore half of the power of nature, and double the effect of sunny days. The focal length of the sun, focusing on the power of the sun, focus on burning the enemy, causing penetrating fire damage, and the effect of sunny days is doubled. Scorching sun in the sky, condensing the power of the sun, creates a small sun in the sky for 14 seconds. During the duration of the small sun, the surrounding environment is regarded as sunny, and the recovery speed of the friendly force of nature is accelerated. Introduction: a plant that is very friendly to the sun. Under the sun's irradiation, it can burst out with extremely strong combat power and auxiliary capabilities. Another new troop. And the skills are very special. It actually affects the power according to the weather, and the skills cooperate with each other, which is a bit new. Consider that there may be times when an emergency restoration of the forces of nature may be required. Lin You kept the Liang sunflower and recruited a new willow tree to mutate. A time. The light continued to light up in the territory, and the shape of the willow was also constantly changing under the influence of the mutation ability. And every change will cost Lin You 2,500 mana points, which is really expensive. In this way, it has been mutating almost 150 times, and the plant in front of him is finally wrapped in light and slowly turns into the appearance of symbiotic moss. Call, dash. Finally successful. Lin You wiped the sweat from his forehead. This symbiotic moss alone cost him nearly 400,000 mana. The odds of mutation are incredibly low. But the rewards are also huge. Although this symbiotic moss does not have infinite proliferation skills, it cannot divide. But it has inherited the quirky skills. Under his order, the symbiotic moss directly copied the properties of Qing gang, and came to a big transformation. Name, symbiotic moss. Race, plant. Level 7, upgrade with the territory. Strength, 1000. Physique, 1000. Agility, 780. Spirit, 780. Skills, strange change, symbiosis, armor, natural infusion. Introduction: planting one of the arms, moss that coexists with other plants, can greatly enhance the strength of the host, as well as the ability to protect and restore. Lin You was very excited. I didn't expect this bold idea to work. Looking around the territory, his eyes finally locked on Qingting. Go, symbiotic on Qingting. The sound fell, and the symbiotic moss around him quickly spread to the ivy, replacing the original moss with proliferation skills. In an instant, Qingting's attributes suddenly increased. Boom! With a loud noise, the entire territory began to vibrate inside and outside. The properties of the ivy skyrocketed, and the vines began to grow rapidly and spread out around. The movement even alarmed the citizens inside and outside Huangsha City, who stopped and exclaimed, thinking that something major had happened. And Qingting's attribute interface also appeared in Lin Yu's eyes. Name, Dread Banshee Ivy, Royal Family. Race, Plant, Hero. Level 8, 362/5000. Strength, 2300 plus 1000. Physique, 2500 plus 1000. Agility, 450 plus 780. Spirit, 2100 plus 780. Skills, Devour, Blood Poison Mist, Forest of Fear, Bloody Frenzy. Gift of the Earth, 50% faster recovery from injuries. Introduction, one of the three branches of the Banshee, corruption, degeneration and fear, a terrifying plant born for war, blood can greatly stimulate its potential. Up to 3000 points of strength and physique. Although it may not be as good as the Ninth Order, it is far beyond the scope of the Eighth Order. Coupled with a few buff auras, the attributes are absolutely explosive. When the time comes, let Qinggang make a savage roar, not take off directly? Lin You was very excited. In this way, even among those veteran Seventh Order lords, he also had a foothold. As long as you don't encounter a lord with a lot of 8th tier troops, or a lord with unexpected abilities like mutation, like him, you basically don't need to be afraid. That's it, it's a little expensive. However, considering that there may be a war in the future, he has nothing to save. After resting for a while, he did the same thing again, using the method just now to continue recruiting willows to mutate. It cost about 1.1 million magic energy to create 3 symbiotic mosses, and let them symbiotically grow on the other 3 royal troops. Suddenly, Lin Yu had 4 peak combat powers. Especially the Green Gang and Mushroom Demon King, the average stats soared directly to around 2000 points, which is equivalent to 2 more 8th tier troops. And his magic energy has also dropped to 5.5 million, which is still within the acceptable range. But he also found a problem. Symbiotic armor made from bewitching willows cannot proliferate. It is equivalent to using 2 arms positions to create a peak combat power. Invisibly 1 less arm than other lords, it will also have an impact on the strength ranking, which must be noted. So what he does next? It is to quickly research the Silver Edge grass to the 7th rank, and then recruit the 7th rank proliferating troops to fill the number. Thinking of this, Lin Yu closed the recruitment interface and quickly operated it in the territory management. The materials for the 7th Order upgrade of the Tower of Arms have been collected. Do you want to upgrade? Upgrade. Before he went to the Wanjia battlefield, the ore resources in the territory had accumulated to more than 15,000. After deducting the consumption of upgrading the territory, there is still a little more than 10,000 left, so there is no need to worry about insufficient resources for the time being. And as his voice fell, the light in the territory lit up, and the Tower of Arms finally successfully rose to the 7th level. Building name, Tower of Arms. Building level, level 7. Building introduction, you can research the advanced form of the existing arms and make them recruitable, which requires mana consumption, and the level of the arms cannot exceed the building level. Research speed, 10 days. Required for upgrade, 10,000 wood, 10,000 stone, 5,000 iron ore, 5,000 copper ore, 50,000 magic energy, Tier 7 Territory Essence X1. 10 days? Lin You looked at the new attributes of the Tower of Arms in surprise. After rising to the 7th level, the research time has actually become longer. Even the materials required for the upgrade have skyrocketed, and a territory essence is also needed. It seems that after crossing the hurdle of the seventh order, many things have begun to change qualitatively. No way. If you want to recruit the seventh order silver edge grass, you can only wait 10 days later. Although it only takes 20 days for his 6th rank arms to rise to 7th rank, he cannot guarantee that there will be any major events in the extra 10 days. Therefore, it is better to wait until the time to directly recruit the 7th order. After all, the 6th order arms are too small for him now. If something big happens, he can't wait. Anyway, he is not short of these hundreds of thousands of magic energy. He glanced at the sky that was completely dark outside. I just arranged the research task of the 7th order silver edge grass, and then went back to the treehouse to rest. Early the next morning, Lin You woke up at dawn. The first thing he saw when he walked out of the treehouse was the just rising sunlight shining into the forest through the gaps in the leaves, which made him stunned for a moment. He had forgotten that the surrounding area of his territory had become a forest. Looking around, all the trees are standing up from the ground, looking full of vitality. Even those plant troops in his territory also went outside to play in the forest, curiously following the travelers and merchants, or climbed to the top of the tree to bask in the sun. In the sky, there are more demon king dragons and demon concubine dragons flying back and forth. At first, the travelers and merchants were quite frightened. But when they learned that this was a unit in Lin Yu's territory, they gradually felt relieved and began to slowly adapt to the surrounding environment. In the distance, Shuechangue can still be seen leading people to repair roads in the forest. Taking Huangsha City as the center, it extends in 4 directions. 2 lead to the interior of the principality, 1 leads to the Gobi, and the other leads to the mountains. Inside the city, there are many children playing, climbing trees, growing on the street, and some have already started to build tree houses. It's so peaceful. Lin You smiled slightly, then withdrew his gaze, left the treehouse, and came under the territory. Since you want to mutate the symbiotic moss with high attributes, it is naturally necessary to select a suitable mutation object. Among all the arms of Lin You, the royal arms have the highest attributes. But the problem is, he can't be stupid enough to use the royal arms to test. Correct. Suddenly, Lin You thought of something, and couldn't help but look at the willow tree in the territory. Because the territory has risen to the 7th level. At this time, the willow will also rise to the 7th level, and the figure is much taller. The willow branches have also become tough and slender, and they have grown densely thorns. Name, Fraudulent Willow. Race, Plant. Level, Level 7, upgrade with the territory. Strength? Constitution? Agile? Spirit? Skills, Bizarre Change, can copy the attributes of any troops and monsters, the target level cannot exceed its own level, Soul Incarnation, the close connection with the Tree of Life, so that the place where it is located is equivalent to the territory, Tricky, controlling the power of the soul, allows it to change its own breath, make the enemy troops regarded as a friend, and obtain the opponent's buff status. Introduction, plants that are good at controlling the power of the soul are closely related to the Tree of Life, and can be used as the incarnation of the core of the territory. The 7th order willow has realized a new skill. And it was a strange skill that was beyond Lin Yu's expectations. Even by changing the soul breath, the enemy can be mistaken for a friend, and he can still enjoy the opponent's buff. This is simply an excellent life-saving skill. Because once it is regarded as a friend, it will basically not be attacked by the other party, and many negative states will not be eaten. It's like changing from a hostile to a neutral state, and it feels a bit like the power of rules. Lord, we have brought you breakfast. At this moment, there was a cry from outside the territory. It was the voice of the steward, Su Zhong. When Lin You thought about it, the vines of the ivy made way for them. After a while, Su Zhong followed a few food delivery leaders into the territory. Meet the Lord. Is there a problem? Lin You casually clicked on the chat channel to view it. I came here to report the situation around Huangsha City to the Lord. Su Zhong replied respectfully. Well, just say it. Lin You continued to flip through the chat channel, listening intently. Upon seeing this, Su Zhong immediately said, Lord, after our investigation yesterday afternoon, it has been determined that the Lord of Xianyang City fell in the battlefield of Wanjia, and the lords of the other two cities also suffered heavy losses. The Lord of Xianyang City is dead? Lin You stopped and looked at him. Yes, and not only that, according to the merchants who passed by this morning, the seventh order Lord of the ancient city has also fallen. It is estimated that there will be unrest there soon, so I want to come and ask the Lord. Intend. The Lord of the ancient city is also dead? Lin You was slightly surprised. The ancient city is almost 300 kilometers away from Huangsha City. It is also the seventh order territory closest to them. Linchuan City, which Lin You had learned from the merchants before, was the subordinate territory of the ancient city. Lin You never expected that the Lord would also die in the battlefield of 10,000 realms. To know. The ancient city is a medium-sized city with a population of more than 100,000. If these populations can be absorbed, it will definitely be a huge leap for Huangsha City, and it is not impossible even to become a medium-sized city in one fell swoop. And he has now upgraded the seventh order territory. It is completely capable of housing so many people without worrying about mob unrest or the like. After thinking about it for a while, he said directly, Okay, then go back and tell Director Shui that as long as you are a resident who has moved to the territory of Huangsha City, all taxes will be exempted for the first month, and then you will find someone to spread the matter out. Okay. I'll do it now. Su Zhong's spirit was shocked, and there was an uncontrollable joy on his face. He came here, waiting for Lin Yu's words. After all, if Huangsha City develops into a medium-sized city with a population of tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands, then as elder-level stewards, their status will naturally rise, and their faces will be brighter. How dare you waste time, and after instructing people to put away the breakfast, they hurriedly left the territory and rushed to Huangsha City. And not long after, news that Huangsha City exempted new residents from paying taxes for a month quickly spread inside and outside the city, and even spread to other surrounding cities. Is this news true? Can a new resident really get a month's tax exemption? It shouldn't be wrong. I just saw with my own eyes that Director Shui led people to announce it on the central square, and many notices were posted in the city. That's great. I'm just wondering where to settle down. The same is true for me. I just came from Xianyang City. The resources in Huangsha City are much better than Xianyang City. Isn't this nonsense? I heard that the Lord has risen to the 7th rank yesterday. Can it be comparable to the 6th rank Lord? Wow. 7th order Lord? Then I must move here to live. As we all know, the higher the level of the Lord in a territory, the more abundant the development resources of the territory. Those building levels alone are not comparable to low-level lords. And also very safe. Especially after Lin You rose to the 7th level this time, the territorial sacred artifact also unlocked the 2nd level gain status. Sacred artifact name, Savage Growth, Plant. Level 1, all attributes, plus 8%, injury recovery, plus 10%. Level 2, all attributes, plus 8%, injury recovery, plus 10%. Level 3, unlocked all attributes, plus 8%, injury recovery, plus 10%. Level 4, unlocked territory skill Woodland Guardian. Characteristics, within the territory, the growth rate of plants is increased by 100%, the attributes of troops are increased by 16%, and the recovery of injuries is increased by 20%. Introduction to the Holy Artifact. Pray for the Holy Artifact to get the effect of Territory Blessing, which lasts for 1 day. The powerful Territorial Blessing effect can almost increase the strength of the territorial citizens by nearly 20%, which is absolutely unmatched by ordinary 6th order territories. With this buff, it will be much easier for them to go out and hunt monsters. And with the recovery of luck. There are gradually monsters in the Gobi that have evolved to above the 7th order, attracting more and more 7th order practitioners. The entire Huangsha city is really booming. Anyone can see the huge potential in it. And this time, inside the territory. After arranging the task of absorbing the population, Lin You also sat down at the dining table and checked the territory management interface while eating breakfast. When he saw it, he was taken aback. The daily revenue of Huangsha City has soared from the original 1,000 to 10,000. A full tenfold. After deducting all kinds of maintenance costs and miscellaneous labor costs, I can still make a net profit of about 5,000 per day. In other words, even if he does nothing now, he can recruit 2 7th-order troops every day. And this number will gradually increase as the population increases. It really did exactly what he said. The income of the 7th-order Lord of Others can match his efforts for several days. Then, Lin You clicked on the 7th-order ranking list again. I found that my own really did not squeeze into 10,000. Even above the Yellow Sand City, the Glory Crown, which symbolized the number 1 on the list, disappeared when he upgraded to the 7th rank. But he wasn't worried. Because even if there is no Glory Crown bonus, his current belief increase rate is almost 10 points per day, which is much faster than when he first came. As for his ranking, not to mention. After all, he has just upgraded his territory, the 7th-tier arms have not yet been recruited, and the other 6th-tier troops are temporarily unavailable. If you care about this, you might as well spend more time developing your territory. Think about it. Lin You just clicked on the building interface and checked them one by one. The ore resources he has left now are almost enough to raise all the basic buildings in Huangsha City to Tier 7. Considering that the next wave of population migration may be ushered in, he temporarily gave up the upgrade of the territorial buildings, and used all the ore resources to upgrade the basic buildings of Huangsha City. In an instant, light is constantly shining in every corner of Huangsha City. Those 6th-order basic buildings have all been upgraded to 7th order, which attracted the surrounding pedestrians to stop and watch. After upgrading the buildings, Lin You also found that there were several more forest-related buildings in the building interface, such as sentry towers, arrow towers, and natural springs. The first 2 knew what they were by looking at their names, but the third one surprised Lin You. Building name, Natural Spring. Building level, First Order. Building function, surging spring water can provide residents with healing for all injuries, except fatal injuries. Each treatment costs magic energy / magic crystal, and is only valid for residents below the building level. Healing consumption, resident level X2. Daily consumption, 100 mana. Required for construction, 500 wood, 500 stone, 250 iron ore, 250 copper ore, 500 magic energy. Overall, it's a good building. It can be built when there are enough resources in the future. This will not only allow the territorial people to quickly recover from their injuries when they return from hunting, but also earn a lot of mana. He is not greedy either. It's enough to treat 1,800 people every day. It's not too much to earn a few thousand mana from him, right? The accumulation of such a building is also a lot of income. By the way, it seems that you unlocked something when you upgraded to the 7th level? Suddenly, Lin You thought of the prompt he heard when he upgraded to the 7th rank. It seems that in addition to unlocking building levels, another feature is unlocked. Quickly open the territory interface and pull it to the bottom. Sure enough, I saw that behind the long list of functions, there was an option called Gate of the Secret Realm. He opened it quickly, and a series of introductions came into his eyes. The Gate of the Secret Realm, you can open the Gate of the Secret Realm within the territory and go to the Secret Realm Sanctuary. Is this the end? No more introduction? Lin You looked stunned, looked left and right at the above sentence, but couldn't see any doorway at all, and under unknown circumstances, he didn't dare to use this function easily, for fear that something might go wrong. No way, in this case, he can only ask for help off the court. After thinking about it for a while, he immediately turned on the private chat function and sent a private message to Ji Yunshuang. If there was anyone he knew who knew inside information, it was the princess Ji Yunshuang. As predicted. Not long after the message was sent, a reply was received immediately. Suddenly asked me about the door to the secret realm. Have you upgraded to the 7th level? As soon as she opened her mouth, she could see that she really understood this aspect. If Lin You had any nonsense, he directly replied with a message, well, I upgraded it when I came back yesterday, so I want to ask, you should know? It's natural. My father's subordinates often run to the gate of the secret realm. The place is very dangerous, but I heard that you can get the artifact of arms and many other resources. Army treasures? Lin Yu's eyes lit up, but he didn't expect to learn about the secret treasure in such an unintentional situation. Yeah, you should have heard of the military treasures, right? I heard it, you continue to say. I've heard of it. The gate of the secret realm is actually the same function as the main city teleportation, but the place where it is transmitted is the secret realm sanctuary in the center of the continent, which is jointly managed by the 3 aboriginal empires. Connected to the main plane of monsters. Monster main plane? Yes, the monsters in the main plane of monsters are all 7th order at least, because the space there is extremely unstable. There are often entrances to secret realms, a large number of monsters emerge, and even a beast tide. So in order to prevent a large number of high-level monsters from invading in the mainland, you must send someone to clear the monsters in the secret realm in advance. I see. After reading Ji Yunchuang's explanation, Lin You suddenly realized. At the same time, shocked. The lowest level monsters are all 7th order. What kind of terrifying place is this monster's main plane? I'm afraid that a lot of monsters of 8th, 9th, or even 10th order will come out directly. It's a pity that Ji Yunchuang didn't give him much time to think about it, and Ji Yunchuang sent another message right after. However, I suggest that it is better not to go there recently. It will be dangerous. Dangerous? Why? Lin You replied suspiciously. It is obviously not a simple matter to make Ji Yunchuang propose so specially. Sure enough, after a while, the news of Ji Yunchuang appeared again. I don't know the specifics, but I heard from my father's subordinates. It seems that every time the battlefield of the world ends, the atmosphere of chaos will become stronger for a period of time, and it is common for 9th order monsters to appear, and luck is not good. It is possible to go up to the 10th order monster. 10th order? So perverted? Lin You was shocked. He had personally experienced the horror of the 10th order. Not to mention the 10th order, even if there are a few 9th orders at random, it is estimated that he can be wiped out, or he can only escape for his life. This uncharted sanctuary is too dangerous, no wonder it needs 3 empires to control. But then again, some of the Aborigines even built empires. It is estimated that like their lords, they have also reached the 12th order, right? The 12th order cultivator doesn't know how terrifying it will be. That's all. Have an inquisitive mind. He chatted with Ji Yunchuang a lot about the gate of the secret realm. It wasn't until more than 10 minutes passed that we finally finished talking, and then went to work on other things. What? You said why he didn't go to the gate of the secret realm, to see? Is that even a question? He is not the protagonist of the novel, he will drill wherever there is danger. That's something only a fool would do. He is just upgraded to the 7th rank, and his foundation is not stable. It is better not to wave everywhere. By the way, he can inquire about the news of the war, so he temporarily forgot about the door to the secret realm, and left the territory to find Shui Changgue and the others to plan their development. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, 2 days have passed. After 2 days of fermentation, the fall of the Lord of the Ancient City finally broke out completely. In the entire barren ancient city, civil strife continued, and it fell into a fierce struggle for power. More than half of the residents fled to the surrounding cities. I heard that a new order has just been issued in Huangsha City recently. New residents are exempt from tax for the first month. Why don't we go there and find another job? Huangsha City? Is that the city that has developed very rapidly recently and whose lord is benevolent and caring for the people? Tax-free for the first month? There is such a good thing. What? Don't believe it? Now the news has spread. Indeed, I have also heard, and it is said that the Lord of Huangsha City has recently risen to the 7th rank, and his safety is absolutely guaranteed. Really? Then what are you waiting for? Let's all go to Huangsha City. In the refugee team, a few people said a word to me, and their voices were very loud, and they immediately attracted the attention of other refugees around. When they heard that Huangsha City was exempted from tax for the first month, they were very moved, and they turned to discuss with their relatives and friends. Then this news was like a plague, it continued to spread around, and in a blink of an eye it became known to everyone, and there was a lot of discussion. The few people who started the conversation looked at each other, and the corners of their mouths evoked a faint smile. Let's go to other places, to spread the news. Hey, as expected, Lord has foresight. Using this method, there will definitely be many people who will defect to our yellow sand city. Be quiet, don't be overheard, someone else came out over there, let's hurry over there. Soon, several people left the place, disguised themselves and sneaked into another team that had just left the city, putting on a good show. Only half a day's effort. Huangsha City has absorbed a large number of people, and the news of tax exemption for 1 month has spread in and around the deserted ancient city. Even on the road, there will be a team of cultivators who will be responsible for answering and ensuring their safety. The refugees who received the news were very moved, and then they changed their routes one after another, dragging their families and their mouths to the direction of Huangsha City, forming a spectacular scene between the major official roads. Lord, those people have all gone to Huangsha City. What do you think we should do? In Lin You City, which is the closest to the ancient city, a cultivator's subordinate said anxiously to Zhou Xiaohong, the lord of Lin You City. What else can I do? Didn't you receive the news? That person is the 7th Order Lord. Zhou Xiaohong frowned deeply, his face full of helplessness. He also wanted to cut off those people immediately, but he didn't dare. Now as long as the news is a little better, everyone knows that the Lord of Huangsha City has risen to the 7th rank, and he can almost be regarded as an existence like a tyrant in the border area of this duchy. Isn't it pure courtship to provoke him now? Lord. The big thing is bad. Suddenly, a cry rang out from outside. Another subordinate hurried in from outside. What's wrong? What happened again? Zhou Xiaohong asked, with a frown. It's Tianjianmen, people from Tianjianmen fight with people from Huangsha City. What did you say? Tianjianmen. Zhou Xiaohong stood up abruptly, his expression uncertain. Tianjianmen is a cultivation sect established by aborigines near the ancient city. When the lord of the ancient city was still there was a lot of contact between the two. Even in the ancient city, Tianjianmen has a lot of power, and even the lord of the ancient city has to give 3 points. For nothing else, it is because the head of Tianjianmen is an 8th order cultivator. Not only that, there are so many 7th order disciples under Tianjianmen, almost to the point where they can protest with the lord in court. Now that the lord of the ancient city has fallen, I also know that Tianjianmen will not easily let go of the fat of the ancient city. But what Zhou Xiaohong never expected was Tianjianmen actually facing Huangsha City. This was really beyond his expectations, and even a little surprised. To be honest, he is not optimistic about Huangsha City. After all, there is an 8th order there, and the 7th order under his hands is no less than their lord. If the two sides fight, the result is really hard to say. Thinking of this, he asked, have you found out the specific strength of the lord of Huangsha City? Go back to Lord, now the entire Yellow Sand City is surrounded by forests, it is difficult to detect, only know that before he went to the battlefield of Wanjia, there was an 8th order plant beside him. 1. Zhou Xiaohong muttered to himself, lost in thought. Lord, what should we do next? The subordinate asked again. Let's wait and see how things change. The strengths of the two sides seem to be similar. If we think about it, we shouldn't tear our faces. If we mix it in at this time, it will only become a top bird, and it will not do any good. Zhou Xiaohong's eyes became much deeper. A lord who can live to the present is either a human being or a very strong judge of things. Before he is absolutely sure, he will never get involved easily. The other side. In a heavily guarded mansion in the deserted ancient city, the people from Tangmen also had the same idea as Zhou Xiaohong. A group of elders and deacons gathered in the conference hall, and arrogant laughter continued. Ha ha ha, the people of Huangsha City are too funny, they dare to people from our Tangmen. Do you really think we will be afraid that the Seventh Order Lord will fail? That's right, they even said that their lord will come to take revenge. Those in Huangsha City really made me laugh to death. It's just a few Sixth Orders, and they dare to shout at us. They really don't know whether to live or die. I want to see if their lords dare to fight with us for these few people. Do it? They don't really think that our Tangmen only has an Eighth Order, right? It's not bad if we don't do it first. The conversations of the elders and deacons kept echoing in the hall, and they sounded extremely arrogant, completely ignoring Huang Shaching and Lin You. Outside the hall, there were heavy guards everywhere. Several Sixth Order cultivators were covered in blood, curled up on the ground, locked in cages, and looked seriously injured. These people. It was the Huangsha City subordinate sent by Shui Changgue to receive and the refugees. Because of the conflict with the people of Tangmen, he was severely injured and then locked here. Just want to demonstrate to Lin You through this method, let Lin You know the strength of their Tangmen. I have to say, this method is really sinister. If Lin You takes action, he will face the suppression of at least one Tier 8 powerhouse. If you don't do it, it will chill the hearts of the people below and have a negative impact on the development of the territory. No matter what you do, you won't get any benefit. This is why they are so arrogant. Because they didn't think that Lin You would oppose them, or even the entire Tangmen, for the sake of a few Sixth Order subordinates, that's why they were so unscrupulous. However, is this really the case? Of course not. Just when a few Tangmen people were sitting in the hall and discussing arrogantly, countless vines had appeared outside the mansion, climbed the wall, broke into the gate, and continued to spread into the mansion. The extremely terrifying number suddenly stopped the Tangmen disciples who were patrolling, and their expressions changed drastically. But before they make a sound to notify others, a strong red poisonous mist had already spread in. As soon as they opened their mouths to shout, the poisonous mist poured into their throats and invaded their bodies. In an instant, all those who inhaled the poisonous mist were all drained of blood and turned into shriveled corpses and fell to the ground. And the blood they were drawn out also turned into blood mist and merged into the vines, making the speed of those vines even more violent. What's the matter? What's going on outside? Finally, the elders and deacons who were discussing matters in the hall were alarmed by the continuous sound of falling to the ground outside, and hurried out from the inside. But in the next second, they were all shaken in place, and their faces were instantly filled with horror. What did they see? Giant vines, covering the entire mansion. Even the sky is covered with dense vines, completely blocking the entire area where they are. How can it be? The eyes of the elders and deacons widened to the extreme. Looking at the mummified corpses hanging on the vines, a storm surged in my heart. You must know that many of these people have reached the 7th rank. He died so silently. Who is so bold? How dare you trespass my Tangmen station? Suddenly, a loud shout exploded behind the mansion. 2 imposing figures stepped on their long swords and shot out, coming in front of everyone. Lin You sat on the back of the Demon King Dragon and looked at the 2 of them indifferently, as well as the Huangshaching subordinates who were trapped in the cage. It's you, the one who hurt me? The 2 old men who suddenly appeared. The momentum is like a rainbow, and all of them have reached the height of the 8th Order. There is one more than the outside rumors. Tangmen is really hidden deep enough. If the average 7th Order Lord encounters it, he may not be able to obtain benefits. In the end, he can only fall into the insidious strategy of Tangmen, breaking his teeth and swallowing it in his stomach. But it's a pity. They met Lin You. Look at the terrifying vines that cover the entire mansion, and the surging plants in the vines. The 2 8th Order old men couldn't help but set off a storm in their hearts, and their pupils vibrated violently. Sect Master, Great Elder, all the disciples in the stronghold are dead. At this time a deacon next to him shouted in surprise. When the two old men heard the words, their expressions sank, and they looked at Lin You with murderous intent. You are the lord of Huangsha City, Lin You? The one who spoke was the white-robed old man standing at the front, who was also the head of Tianjianmen, Ruffing. Obviously, they have already investigated Lin Yu's identity. Since you know who I am, you should also know why I am here, right? Lin Yu's eyes were indifferent, and his voice contained no emotion at all. Ruffing's expression changed, and he didn't know that he came to ask for a teacher, so he stopped talking nonsense and snorted. Humph! How dare you forcefully break into my Tianjianmen station and kill my disciples? Do you really think that our Tianjianmen is easy to provoke? Let's go together. Kill him. The sound fell, and the soles of his feet suddenly exploded, and together with the great elder beside him, stepped on the flying sword and swept straight towards Lin You. The imposing aura that was approaching, as if the whole person was transformed into a sword, cut the surrounding air ruthlessly. It is actually a bit more tyrannical than the ordinary Eighth Order. No wonder they dared to oppose the Lord so unscrupulously, and there is still a bit of capital, at least it is more than enough to deal with the average Seventh Order Lord. It's a pity that they met Lin You this time. Seeing the two rapidly approaching, giant vines rushed out suddenly, blocking their way. A mere plant, want to stop me from waiting? Break it for me. Just listening to Ruffing and the great elder shouting loudly, the long sword under his feet turned into thousands of sword lights, as if tearing apart the space, and attacked the vine straight. Chong! A few tremors of the eardrums exploded. The vines did not move at all, leaving only a few sword marks. On the contrary, those sword lights were dissipated by all the shocks, turning into light spots and dissipating in the air. How can it be? Ruffing and the great elder stared at each other. With their full blow, they couldn't even break through the defenses of those vines. What kind of terrifying monster is this? Didn't he say that the opponent was only Eighth Order at the highest? The two of them were horrified and looked up at Lin You in the air, as if they could see the sneer on the corner of his mouth. Then my heart froze, and a sense of crisis hit. Careful! I only heard the exclamation of the elders and deacons below. Before the two could react, 2 red mushrooms had already fallen beside them, and their expressions suddenly changed wildly. Boom! A mushroom cloud rose, shaking the sky violently. With the addition of the double explosion power of the Mushroom Demon King, the entire space seemed to be shattered. The terrifying power of the explosion turned into an air wave, and instantly swept over the entire barren ancient city, shocking all the residents and practitioners to look at the center of the explosion. What happened? What happened? It seems to be at the Tianjianmen station. I heard that Tianjianmen and the Lord of Huangsha City fought. Isn't it? It's really a fight? I remember that the head of Tianjianmen is an Eighth Order powerhouse. Eighth Order? Then the Lord of Huangsha City will be in trouble. I just thought about the development of Huangsha City. The people were talking a lot while listening to the sound of fierce fighting coming from there. But no one dared to approach. After all, it was a battle between the 8th tiers, aren't they courting death by running over now? And this time, in the mansion of Tianjianmen. But it was completely different from what the people thought. I saw that the elders and deacons below were dumbfounded, looking at the 2 broken corpses in the air. Died. Their sect master and great elder, all died. At this moment, there is only one mood in their hearts, and that is fear. A chilling fear. Just one hit. It killed 2 8th Order powerhouses in seconds. How strong does it have to be to do this? Is this really something that a 7th Order Lord can do? Immediately, one of the deacons turned pale and slowly stepped back. No, I don't want to die yet, don't kill me, this matter has nothing to do with me, don't kill me. Before he finished speaking, he turned and ran away. However, in the next second, a vine suddenly protruded from the ground. Puff! The blood flower exploded, and the deacon's body was instantly pierced. The tragic state of death suddenly made the remaining elders and deacons look mad and suddenly woke up. How dare you think too much, just fled in all directions, shooting out in all directions. Not a single one. In the air, Lin Yu's cold voice came. Giant vines swam fast, catching up with them. For a time, the screams continued to sound in the mansion, which lasted for nearly half a minute before finally subsiding. And the vines of Qingtang quickly gathered back, removing the siege of the Tianjin station. Looking at the nearby streets, it was already empty, no one was there, and they were all scared away. Let's go, take them back to heal first. Lin You ignored it and left with a few wounded subordinates, rushing back in the direction of Huangsha City. And with their departure, the news of the destruction of the Tianjin station also spread rapidly in the ancient city, and even other surrounding cities and forces quickly received the news, causing an uproar. What did you say? The 2 8th orders of Tianjin are dead. In Linchuan City, Zhou Xiaohong looked at his subordinates who came back to report in shock. Yes, and it was easy to kill without a single soldier, and none of the disciples were spared. The subordinate replied respectfully. How come? Zhou Xiaohong fell down and sat on the chair, very shocked. He thought that if Tianjin fought against Huangsha, even if they could win, one of them would definitely suffer heavy losses. But he didn't expect the result to be so unexpected. Those were 2 8th orders, one more than he knew. Was it destroyed so easily? How terrifying is the strength of this Yellow Sand City Lord? Didn't he just rise to the 7th level? Same doubt. At this time it also appeared in the hearts of the leaders of the surrounding forces. Everyone was shocked by the terrifying strength displayed by Lin You, and did not dare to act rashly. They even hurriedly issued orders to their subordinates, and they must not provoke people in Huangsha City, not even a commoner. Once the news came out, it caused an uproar among ordinary people and scattered practitioners, and there were many discussions. This lord of Huangsha City is really powerful. He can make so many forces bow their heads and dare not provoke them. To be supported by such a powerful lord, I really envy the people of Huangsha City. If you do this, I'm afraid no one will dare to provoke people in Huangsha City easily. So it's the best choice to go to Huangsha City now? Why don't we go to Huangsha City to develop? I think so too. The prestige of Lin You and Huangsha quickly spread to the surrounding area in the word of mouth of everyone. Those people who were still hesitant because of Tianjin's intervention also made decisions one by one and rushed to the direction of Huangsha City. After only half a day, the number of teams walking on the official road began to increase rapidly. And this time, Lin You had already brought the wounded back to Huangsha City. After curing their injuries, they were handed over to Wei Gang to take them down to recuperate. And he also rushed back to the territory with the troops. This time, because Lingxi was going to pick up the caravan, he only brought 2 royal arms, Qingtang and Mushroom Demon King, plus the deceitful willow for buffs. It turned out that the process was much easier than he expected. The green vines, blessed by the symbiotic moss, can almost be said to easily crush 2 8th orders, and even almost cannot break its defense. Really scary, and his shot this time can be regarded as a deterrent to the surrounding forces, letting them know the current strength of Huangsha City. Save the time when someone always comes to trouble him. As for the rest of Tianjin, Lin You didn't care at all. Without the support of the 2 8th orders, there is nothing to be afraid of, and even if he does not do it, the other forces in the ancient city will not miss the opportunity to suppress them. In the end, it is either annexed or the sect is dissolved. This trick is called killing with a knife. It can only be said that Tianjin is unlucky, just hit the muzzle of the gun that he just upgraded the territory to Liwei, who do not kill them. The next thing to do is to wait for those refugees to flock to Huangsha City. At that time, it is estimated that there will be a lot of preparation work to be done. Thinking of this, Lin You came under the world tree and continued to study his arms. Previously, many ideas could not be realized due to random limitations of mutation ability. Now that mutation ability can be specified to retain skills, the feasibility will naturally increase. Just like the ancient tree of knowledge. Although this unit is only tier 3, and there is no way to upgrade it. But it can be regarded as the most supportive unit in his territory. It's just that the upgrade conditions have become harsh now, and simply adding experience is no longer as perverted as before. So without hesitation, Lin You went directly to the ancient tree of knowledge and used mutation on it. The mutation of the third order troops needs to consume 10 points of magic energy. Do you want to continue? Continue. Please choose to keep skills and attributes. Learning is preserved, attributes are not preserved. Lin You answered skillfully. The next second, the ancient tree of knowledge was wrapped in light, and its body changed rapidly. When the light dissipated, a fear tree demon appeared in front of him, looking at his body curiously. It's like saying, why did my body become like this? This unit, Lin You, had mutated once before, and he also successfully inherited his profound knowledge and skills. But it is still the same as before, inheriting the condition that the ancient knowledge tree cannot be upgraded. However, Lin You was already mentally prepared, so there was not much change in his expression. He continued to mutate the fear tree demon, and his skills still retained his profound knowledge. Yes. He just wanted to see if the skill of profound knowledge would mutate. Anyway, the third tier troops only need to consume 10 points of mana per mutation, which is not a problem for him at all. If you were lucky enough to get a royal arm, wouldn't you earn it? So in the next time Lin You has been repeating the actions of mutation and checking attributes, working hard under the world tree. Mutation. Swish. Continue to mutate. Swish. Come again. Lin Yu's voice kept echoing in the territory. The plants in front of him also changed and changed, switching back and forth in various forms. However, what Lin You didn't expect was that. Just when he had just mutated to more than 700 times. A different light, and a hint of skill mutation. Suddenly appeared at the same time. Congratulations, the mutation was successful, and the skill, profound knowledge, was mutated and changed to light of the sage. Skills have changed. Lin You was shocked. The originally boring expression was instantly swept away. Light of the wise. The name is not easy to hear. And what he never expected was that at the same time as the skills mutated, the ancient tree of knowledge had the unique light of the royal armies. Skill variation and royal armies appeared at the same time. He saw that under the wrapping of a dazzling golden light, the body of the plant in front of him began to change rapidly, gradually turning into a tree more vicissitudes than the ancient tree of knowledge, full of wisdom. It's not over yet. At the moment when the ancient tree's mutation was completed, the golden circles of light were arranged in order from small to large, appearing around the ancient tree. As if surrounded by avenues, the ancient trees are set off very holy. At the same time, a mysterious aura suddenly spread out around. What's the matter? Why do I feel that the aura around me seems to be getting richer? I feel it too. And it's also mixed with a very magical power. Huh? My realm that has been stagnant for a long time shows signs of loosening. This power. Could it be the power of rules? The power of rules? How can there be such a strong power of rules in Huangsha City? Could it be that someone is hitting the 10th order? The practitioners in Huangsha City exclaimed and looked in the direction of Lin Yu's territory. In particular, some people who have seen the power of rules have their eyes widened. Because they are very clear, whether it is a lord or a cultivator, only when they reach the 10th order can they access the power of rules. So they had to wonder if someone in Lin Yu's territory was attacking the 10th order. But how do they know? Even Lin Yu himself was stunned by the special effects in front of him. He knew that the movements of the royal armies would be exaggerated, but he didn't expect it to be so exaggerated. Is this the change brought about by the upgrade of the mutant ability? Seeing that the new ancient tree evolved successfully, he quickly clicked on its attributes to check. Name, Forest Sage, Royal Family. Race, Plant. Grade? Strength? Constitution? Agile? Spirit, skill, light of the sage, increases surrounding plant troops by 1 experience per hour, effective for all levels. When killing monsters with a level not lower than your own, you will gain 1 additional experience, which cannot be superimposed. Rules surrounding, vast knowledge, let the forest sages surround themselves with rules, double the casting speed of friendly skills within the range, and reduce the consumption by 20%. Peace domain, the yearning for peace allows forest sages to obtain the gift of nature, which can forcibly block the power of the rules within the range, so that all creatures below the level cannot launch attacks, and the attacks are invalid, lasting 10 seconds. Natural harmony, will not be attacked by any, and will not attack anyone, all attributes removed, detached. Introduction, the tree spirit family is the most knowledgeable being, has a deep understanding of the power of rules, is gifted by the of nature, and likes peace. At this time, Lin Yu's mood, just like the expression on the attribute, was full of question marks, but when he saw the skills below, he was shocked again. Especially the last skill. Will not be attacked, and will not attack anyone. This. Is it really an ability that a plant soldier can have? If he has this ability, let alone the 8th and 9th orders, even if it is the 10th and 11th orders, he can be completely fearless. Because others can't hit him at all, it's like being protected by rules. Unfortunately, he used the power of the Godhead to try it, but he couldn't use this outrageous ability at all. And the other skills of the forest sage are also very outrageous. In the field of peace, it can make the attack below the level ineffective for 10 seconds, which is simply a magical skill. In other words, even an 11th order attack can be completely ineffective within 10 seconds. Although his own attack will be ineffective, but it does not prevent him from using it to escape. It's been enough time for him to do a lot of things. There is also a second skill. It even doubled the skill casting speed. The shooting speed of the plants has been greatly increased, and even the speed of the vines and various long-range attacks have been improved. Not to mention the experience-added skills after the mutation. This is simply troops born to assist. It is also Lin Yu's first, purely auxiliary royal arm. At a glance, the sage of the forest is like an elderly wise man, and it makes him feel calm, and I have to say that it is really amazing. After studying the skills of the forest sage, Lin Yu tried to transform it into a hero. As a result, I received a prompt that the level does not match and cannot be converted. Okay. It seems that this last skill not only removes all attributes, but also removes the level attributes, so that the hero transformation pool is directly determined as an invalid target. That's the scary thing about rules. But there is good news. The only skill of the unit has been brushed off, and he can recruit another ancient knowledge tree when he goes out in the future, so that it is very convenient to take risks and upgrade. Let's try another skill. Allowing the forest sages to move freely, Lin You continued to study other skills and gradually became addicted to it. But don't know. The movement made by the forest sage just now has already caused the entire Huangsha city to fall into a heated discussion. Many cultivators were inquiring about the source of the power just now, trying to get close to Lin Yu's territory, but they were stopped by the vine forest. Even in crowds. There was also an imposing white-haired old man who was also startled by the aura that spread out just now, and stood there trembling all over. It's such a deep rule atmosphere. This will definitely allow me to break through the 10th order. While muttering excitedly, the old man turned around and found Wei Gang, who was patrolling the city. You said you wanted to see our lord? Wei Gang was extremely surprised. Looking at the old man who was many times stronger than himself, he couldn't help but be vigilant. Don't get me wrong. Seeing Wei Gang's defensive look, the old man quickly explained, I am an ascetic cultivator who has traveled to this area. I just want to see your lord, can I report it on your behalf? The old man did not show any contempt because Wei Gang was inferior to him. On the contrary, it is extremely friendly, and even has a trace of desire. No way. He's been stuck at rank 9 for too many years. Only one step away, you can step into the 10th step, but it has been slow to understand the last rule. And just now, the power of that rule broke out. He actually faintly felt that his understanding had deepened, which made him so excited. He didn't expect to encounter such an opportunity in such a remote place on the border of the principality. It's okay to report, but I can't guarantee that our Lord will meet you. Looking at the expectant old man in front of him, Wei Gang said with a little embarrassment. It's fine, as long as the announcement is made on your behalf. The old man saw Wei Gang's embarrassment, and naturally knew his scruples. After struggling for a while, he finally seemed to make up his mind, and then continued, it's really not possible, just tell your lord that the old man is willing to give his life, just to get a chance to spy on the power of the rules. Hey! Fate! Wei Gang took a deep breath and looked at the old man in disbelief. Fate, that is what the soul evolves after the cultivator successfully communicates with the gods and obtains the qualification for cultivation. Just like the core of the Lord's territory, it is related to his own life. Giving your life to others is equivalent to giving your own life to others to control. No wonder he wasn't shocked. Although he can also give his life to the Lord without any scruples. But this is based on his loyalty to Huangsha City, and he can surrender his life. But this old man was different. At first glance, he knew that he was an existence that was many levels higher than him. He dared to be negligent, and said quickly, okay, you wait here first, and I will report to the Lord immediately. Okay, it's work. The old man breathed a sigh of relief and waited quietly in place. That's all. Wei Gang hurriedly left Huangsha City, followed the newly opened road in the forest to Lin Yu's territory, and reported the matter. Lin Yu, who was still studying mutation ability, stopped what he was doing when he heard Wei Gang's report. What do you mean? There is a cultivator with a very high level who wants to see me. Yes, that person's strength is very strong, and he said that he is willing to use his fate in exchange for the opportunity to comprehend the power of the rules. It seems that he should be of the 9th rank. Wei Gang said breathlessly. When Lin Yu heard the words, his eyes were also surprised. He didn't expect that the movement made by the forest sage just now would attract high-level practitioners, and he was also a 9th-level practitioner. After thinking for a while, he said to Wei Gang, okay, take me to see it. As ordered. Soon, Lin Yu left the territory under the leadership of Wei Gang and came to the city. Walking along the streets and alleys, it didn't take long before I came to the old man. You said you wanted to see me? Lin Yu said straight to the point. There is Lingxi beside him, and there are ivy in his territory. These two attributes far exceed the 8th order arms, coupled with various territorial gains, they are not afraid of a 9th order alone. Even if the other party really does it, he can immediately start the teleportation array to teleport back to the territory to ensure his own safety. So nothing to worry about. And his indifference in the eyes of the old man made the old man secretly startled. Especially when he saw Lingxi beside him, he was even more surprised. Because from this petite flower essence, he actually felt a slight threat, which made his evaluation of Lin Yu suddenly rise, and he mentioned the same height as himself. I have seen the Lord. The old man politely saluted Lin Yu. It's the old man who wants to see you. I don't know if it's inconvenient to talk. Of course it's convenient, let's talk in my reception hall, it is good. Saying that, the two of them walked to the reception hall in the city under Wei Gang's open road www.lightnovel.com, which attracted passers-by to stop and watch. Many of them have just arrived in Huangsha City recently, and this is the first time they have seen Lin Yu. So it was inevitable that I was a little curious, so I couldn't help but take a few more glances. There were even many girls with peach blossom eyes and shy faces staring at Lin Yu. Everyone has heard that the Lord of Huangsha City is young and promising, and his heroism is extraordinary. Seeing him now, it seems to be better and more handsome than the rumors. Most importantly, there are no concubines yet. If someone can marry him as a wife, no, even if it is a concubine, it is estimated that many people are willing. What kind of wife do you think our Lord will marry in the future? A territorial citizen couldn't help but whispered. Why don't you ask? What is the status of our Lord? At least we have to marry the most beautiful girl in the principality. That's right, I don't want her to be the Lord's wife. Come on, didn't you say yesterday that you want to give your daughter to the Lord as a personal maid? Obviously, you are thinking of being a concubine one day so that your old Huang family can flourish. You don't spit. When did my old man think so? Haha, you see your ears are all red, and you still say no. That's right, if your daughter can do it, then my daughter's appointment can also do it. Bah, you're a shameless old man, isn't your daughter only 16 years old? As they talked, the people on the street revealed their shortcomings to each other. The scene looked so lively. However, at this time, Lin You had already brought the old man to the reception hall in the city and started to discuss things. If you're enjoying my content, please consider donating a coffee. Or checking out my shirts on TeePublic. No one knew what Lin You and the others discussed. All they know is that they stayed in the reception hall for a while, and after walking around the territory, the old man's attitude towards Lin You changed 180 degrees and became more respectful. This has changed a lot. Wei Gang, who was waiting outside, was dumbfounded, with a ghostly expression on his face. A dignified Ninth Order cultivator, just subdued by the Lord? But how did he know? At this time, the old man's heart was even more shocked than he was, even to the point of incomparable shock. Because just now, in Lin Yu's territory, he saw an ancient tree surrounded by the power of rules. The intensity of the power of the rules is simply what he has seen in his life, and it is not even weaker than the 10th Order. Just stay near the old tree for a while. He felt that his understanding of the power of rules had improved a little. Just horrible. He is sure that as long as he cultivates in this place, he will definitely be able to understand the secrets of heaven and rise to the 10th Order within 10 years. This also made him completely firm in his determination to stay in Huangsha City. The price is that he has to serve Huangsha City for 10 years, and hand over his life to Lin You for safekeeping. As for this powerful cultivator who came to the door, Lin You naturally accepted it without rejecting it. Although only 10 years, but for him. Enough. After thinking about it, he said to Yu Daonan, the old man beside him, Elder Yu, from now on, the safety of Huangsha City will be left to you to take care of, as well as the practitioners under my hands. If you have time, remember to give them pointers. Practice. Don't worry, I will. Yu Daonan said seriously. After this short half-day contact, he had already deeply felt the huge potential contained in Lin You, even to the point of shocking him. Even when he met those Ninth Order lords, he never felt this way. The Lord of the Yellow Sand City. It may not be easy in the future. Wei Gang and several subordinates on the side were also excited when they heard their conversation. Allowing a Ninth Order cultivator to personally guide the cultivation is not an opportunity that can be obtained casually, at least it can save them a lot of detours. That's all. After this unexpected episode, there was an additional Ninth Order cultivator in Lin Yu's territory. And in order to facilitate Yu Daonan's cultivation, and at the same time not to be disturbed, Lin You directly asked Xuechang Gue to arrange for someone to build a quiet treehouse in the forest near his territory. This can also take into account the safety of Huangsha City. Okay, I'll go back first if I have something else to do, and I'll leave the rest to you. After leaving a sentence, Lin You immediately acted as the shopkeeper and rushed back to the territory with Ling Si. At this time, the sky has gradually darkened. He also gave up his plans to continue researching mutant abilities, came to the table under the world tree and sat down, while eating the dinner that the Lingmin just sent, while casually clicking on the chat interface to check. Brothers, is there any way to quickly increase the power of belief? I'm really crying every day now. When will I be able to increase to the 7th rank? You're fine. There are almost 10,000 people in my territory, and it's only 2 o'clock every day. I don't know when I can upgrade. I'm still not satisfied at 2 o'clock every day. I didn't increase at all yesterday. It's just raising the tax to 20%. Is it necessary to hate me so much? Damn it. 20%? Brother, you are too cruel. The last time I increased to 12%, I ran a lot of people. I was so scared that I changed it overnight. First release on this site, fastest update. It can only be said that it deserves. As usual, the low-level lords are basically talking about irrelevant topics. For some lords, the news of 100 magic energy is not a big expense, so the channel at night is still very lively. Lin You just watched them chatting with interest while eating, and it was quite relaxed. It was not until night that he put away his things and went back to the house to rest. Time flies. Another 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. After 2 days of fermentation, finally on the morning of the third day, Huangsha City ushered in a wave of population influx. The large army of refugees who left the deserted ancient city arrived one after another and kept pouring into Huangsha City. Then, under the leadership and arrangement of Xue Changgue and a group of stewards, they temporarily stayed in an orderly manner. It was beyond Lin Yu's expectations. The number of refugees that emerged in this first wave was several times more than he had planned. In less than half a day, nearly 20,000 people came, and they continued to increase at a considerable rate to the naked eye, making the entire Huangsha city lively. Fortunately, Lin Yu was well prepared and had people expand many temporary residences outside the city, and even used the upper and lower spaces to build large tree houses. These populations are easily accommodated. If this were another lord, I am afraid that it would have been overwhelmed by the huge number of refugees. Lord, at this rate, our Huangsha city will soon develop into a medium-sized city, with a population of 100,000. Xue Changgue and the other stewards stood on the city wall with Lin Yu, looking at the continual influx of teams outside the city. Their expressions were extremely excited. Back then, when Lin Yu first came, they only had more than 500 old, weak, sick and disabled people in Huangsha City. It's only been 4 months, and they have the scale they are today, even if they dream of it. Yeah, I didn't expect it to be so fast. Lin Yu smiled and nodded. But this is just the beginning. In the future, Huangsha City will become a large city with a population of tens of millions. It's too early for you to be happy. 1 million people. All the stewards, including Xue Changgue, were startled, and their mouths opened wide. A population of 100,000 is already a dream they once couldn't reach. 1 million people can't imagine it. If that time comes, wouldn't they be in charge of millions of people? Just thinking about the picture made them tremble with excitement, and their faces flushed red. Okay, see how excited you are. You are the pillars of the facade of Huangsha City. How can you be so unsteady? Lord is right, we are too short-sighted. The stewards quickly stood up. However, his expression was still very excited. Okay, let's go and arrange the staff. Today is only the first wave. There should be many people coming over in the next few days, and they are all arranged for me. Yes. Guaranteed to complete the task. In response, the stewards took their orders and walked down the city wall under the leadership of Xue Changgue and rushed out of the city. The guard team led by Wei Gang strengthened patrols inside and outside the city to maintain order. The whole process went smoothly without any errors. Lin You even found a lot of practitioners above the 7th rank in the crowd who had just arrived. It seems that they all came from the ancient city. That's all. The following few days, Lin Yu spent all his time gathering refugees. It was not until the afternoon of the third day that the number of refugees from the surrounding area gradually decreased. In Huangsha City, the population has long been crowded, and people are everywhere on the road, even the temporary dwellings are full of people. Lin You clicked on the management interface in the territory and took a look. Good guy, it has risen to the level of 80,000 people. In other words, during this period of time, a total of about 60,000 people poured into Huangsha City, quadrupling it. It is not far from becoming a medium-sized city with a population of 100,000. Fortunately, the stewards of Huangsha City already have experience in gathering and relocating people. There were a few small troubles along the way, but none of them mattered. Soon, Under the leadership of the stewards, the residents continued to expand the Huangsha city, preparing to build a forest city in the forest that was different from other cities. To this end, Lin You also specially allocated 2 million funds for their development. When the plants are free, they will occasionally help move things or something, and everything is going on in an orderly manner. Then he toured the forest, and after making sure there was nothing wrong, Lin You went back to the territory alone. Brothers, I just received a major news. King Xingyao seems to be going up to the 12th level. But at this moment, a shocking news suddenly appeared on the chat channel. Lin Yu paused and looked at the chat channel in surprise. King Xingyao is going to be promoted to the 12th level? What's the situation? Stop talking about him. Even the lords who were chatting were shocked by the sudden news, and they were instantly fried. Fuck. Is it true? Tier 12, isn't that the level of an emperor? Is our Xingyao kingdom going to become a Xingyao empire? I also received this news just now. I thought it was a joke, but I didn't expect it to be true. So, our principality will have the opportunity to become a kingdom in the future? Haha, this is good, this is good. If you change the kingdom, there will definitely be more resource allocations, right? Sit and wait to eat melon. Lords, you are expressing your own opinions, and at the same time, you are looking forward to it. After all, this is a good thing for them. Who doesn't want the country they live to be covered by big bosses? If it is said that who is the most nervous, it is estimated that there are only those 9th order lords and duchy kings, right? I don't know who will be the ultimate beneficiary. The curious lords began to discuss this topic one after another. Lin Yu was also very surprised when he saw their discussion. No wonder he has not received the news of the war between the two worlds since he returned from the Wanjia battlefield. It turned out to be because of this. King Xingyao rose to the 12th level. It is definitely a very good news for the original continent. After all, one more great emperor means one more chance to surpass the Yuansha realm, which is very beneficial even for the luck of their realm. Just thinking about it, a private chat message suddenly jumped out. Go to war tomorrow, get ready. The news was sent by Ji Yunshuang. Although there are only 8 short words, Lin Yu's heart froze. After so many days after returning from the Wanjia battlefield, there is finally accurate news. After replying, thank you, he immediately came under the world tree, opened the recruitment interface, and began to recruit the 7th order multiplication grass that was just researched today to mutate. Chapter 216, The Great War will begin. The mutation of the 7th order troops needs to consume 2,500 mana. Do you want to continue? Continue. Please choose to keep skills and attributes. Retain infinite proliferation with random attributes. Swish. As Lin Yu responded with a sound, the light continued to light up in the territory. In less than an hour of work, Lin Yu had 125 new Tier 7 proliferating troops around him. Add in the 75 left before, and that's exactly 200. Okay, I'll proliferate. Just listening to Lin Yu's order, a large radiance suddenly appeared in the entire territory, and all the proliferating arms began to split rapidly, 1 to 2, 2 to 4. In the blink of an eye, the number has increased from 200 to more than 800, which has quadrupled. Some of them are smaller in size and consume less energy, such as the pea shooter, which is directly split into 8. It looks like a mighty piece that almost fills the entire territory. At the same time, a prompt also sounded in Lin Yu's mind. Congratulations, you have successfully entered the Principality list, Tier 7. Current ranking, 196. The 7th order list is different from the 6th order list, and only the top 1,000 are recorded. The 8th rank further up is the top 100, and the 9th rank is only the top 10. Even though the number of people on the list is gradually decreasing, there is a lot of gold in it. Even an exaggerated army like Lin Yu barely made it into the top 200. It seems that those old lords are not weak. Lin Yu guessed that they either had a solid foundation and had a large number of Tier 8 arms. Or, like him, they have their own adventures, and the arms have been greatly increased. But Lin Yu was not worried. Because his arms are not just the strength shown. After all, the list is only the comprehensive data of statistical arms. Who would have thought that he could combine the data of the two arms into one and create a more terrifying existence than the Eighth Order? And one made too. In addition, there are several other Seventh Order arms whose attributes are comparable to the Eighth Order. This can definitely be called his killer. Turn off the list. Lin You turned around again and came under the world tree. Looking at the recruitment quota, all 275 have been recruited. But considering that there may be various battles in the future, he repatriated 5 Sixth Order 4-leaf clover mutant troops, and then continued to recruit troops for mutation. Until night. When it gets completely dark, he finally succeeded in mutating 4 symbiotic mosses with strange skills. After making them copy the attributes of Qing Gang, they coexisted on 2 swallowing flowers, a demon king dragon and a demon concubine dragon. This will not only increase their survivability, but also enhance their skill power. Especially, the Death Flower Sea of Devouring Flower and the combined skills of the 2 dragons are definitely the big killers in the battlefield. As for the one remaining recruiting position, Lin You created a different kind of army. Name, Sharp Blade Grass. Race, Plant. Level 7, 0/2500. Strength, 500. Physique, 500. Agility, 500. Spirit, 500. Skills, Vacuum, Hardening, Infinite Proliferation, Flying Leaf Knife, blades of grass turn into sharp blades and fly into the air, attacking surrounding enemies. First release on this site, fastest update. Introduction, wildfires can't burn out, and the spring breeze blows and grows again. The sharp blade grass has a strong ability to survive. As long as the body is still there, it can proliferate indefinitely, and it needs to consume the power of nature. That's right, it is the 7th Order advanced body of silver edge grass, sharp blade grass. As the original arm of the infinite proliferation skill, the blade grass is absolutely unmatched by other mutant arms. With just one body, a large area of grass can be proliferated, and the coverage area is very exaggerated. Moreover, the problem that it was easy to reach the upper limit of proliferation due to insufficient power of nature was also solved because of the upgrade of Ling Xi's natural affinity halo. Because of the upgraded affinity aura, in addition to increasing the stats of all arms by 10%, it also increases the recovery speed of the force of nature by an additional 10%. It's a perfect match with the sharp blade grass. As for the mutated vacuum skill, Lin You has his own magic. Hey. At a glance, there are only more than 800,000 magic energy left. Lin You gave up the plan to continue to build arms. After a brief check that nothing was missing, he closed the interface and went to have dinner while checking the chat channel. Just like that, the night passed. Soon came the next morning. Today is destined to be an uneasy day for the primitive continent. The sun has just risen. There was a loud explosion where the capital of Xingyao Kingdom was located. The rays of light fell from the sky, almost covering the entire sky of Xingyao Kingdom. Even the 10 major duchies below are filled with rays of light, and the wind and clouds are surging. Immediately after, a vast and boundless aura centered on the capital of Xingyao Kingdom suddenly spread, causing the entire primitive continent to vibrate violently. This is King Xingyao is the advanced emperor. It shouldn't be wrong. The breath is coming from the capital of Xingyao Kingdom. It's the first time I've seen someone advance to the great emperor. Me too, so this is the vision of Emperor Qing? It's also spectacular. The lords exclaimed in surprise, and they were all shocked by the vision brought by the advanced king of Xingyao. I saw that above the endless sky dome, a colorful beam of light fell straight down, crashing into the territory of Xingyao Kingdom. And around the beam of light, there are chants around, as if singing the birth of the emperor. I don't know if it's an illusion. Lin You actually faintly felt that the primitive continent seemed to be getting bigger, and even the sky was much wider than usual. Even the place where it intersected with the original evil world, there was a loud bang sound, which made the whole continent shake more violently. At this moment, several prompts suddenly sounded in the minds of all the lords. Lords, please note that the Continental War Order has been issued. Please go to the main border city immediately and join the great emperors to conquer the Yuansha realm. When the war between the two worlds begins, all the points obtained by killing the enemy will be doubled tenfold, and the top will not be capped. This war will affect the rise and fall of the entire continent. Lords, please fight for the primitive world. Boom! All the lords exploded instantly. Continental expedition? Two-world war? Are they finally going to start a full-scale war with the Yuansha realm? However, they didn't wait for them to think about it. There was a sudden shout from the World Channel. Boys! It's time to take revenge. It's with the handle, so let's kill it with Lao Tzu. It's King Xingyao. No, the voice of Emperor Xingyao. Hearing this violent shout, the lords who were still discussing suddenly found their backbone and responded frantically in the channel. Kill him, son of a bitch. Must. This time, we must kill the Yuansha realm. Why can I go with a handle? My mother still wants to go without a handle. 10 times the points. I'm so sorry for not going. I was chased by Yuansha realm last time, and I have been waiting for this day. Ah. Why can't you go to the 6th order? Brothers, see you in the main city. It has to be said that the charisma of Emperor Xingyao is still very inspiring. In just a few short sentences, the blood of the lords was mobilized. What's more, there are 10 times the reward points, which is definitely very attractive to them. And it is not easy to see a 7th or 8th order enemy on the battlefield. This battle is definitely the best chance to earn a lot of points. Don't talk about them, even Lin You is very moved. Called Shuichanggue, and they briefly explained a few words, and hurriedly entered the teleportation formation. Swish! The white light lit up, and he appeared on the teleportation square in the main city. As soon as he stood still, he was startled by the sight in front of him. I saw that there was a constant white light on the entire teleportation square. Lords appeared one after another, crowding the entire main city. Even outside the city, many large teleportation formations were temporarily set up to receive lords from various places. And further outside the city, 10 figures stood in the air, and together they formed a super-large cross-border teleportation formation, almost covering the entire checkpoint. Level 11. Those 10 figures are definitely 11th order lords. Lin Yu's pupils shrank suddenly. He didn't expect to see so many powerhouses known as demigods at once. When the lords who had just teleported over saw this, they also exclaimed, and they were shocked to the extreme. But what they don't know is, in the 1,000-meter altitude above the main city, 5 figures stood proudly, overlooking the earth. Each of them exudes unparalleled power, even more vast than the 11th steps below. Crack! At this moment, the space shattered. Emperor Xingyao, who had just advanced successfully, appeared in front of several people. Haha, brother Xingyao, you are late. A wealthy middle-aged man made a friendly joke. Several other people on the side also looked at Emperor Xingyao, with smiles on their faces. I didn't expect that in such a short time, Xingyao, you will be promoted to the 12th level, congratulations. In the future, we will have another great emperor in the primitive continent. I guess those guys in the original Shajia are going to have a headache? www.mtnovel.com. It's best to hurt them directly. The great emperors, every word I said, congratulated Emperor Xingyao one after another. Emperor Xingyao also reacted quickly, and said with a hearty smile, "Don't hold me dear, brothers, I'm just lucky." Good luck? If we were lucky enough to get to where we are, we wouldn't be the only ones left. The rich man said strangely. But he didn't bother about this matter. He glanced around and said in confusion, "Are we the only ones here? What about the others? Sister Shang Yue and Lan Yuan have all gone to that place, and it is estimated that they will not be able to come back for a while." The others said that they were too lazy to come, and would call them when they couldn't bear it any longer. Another great emperor, in commoner, said slowly, "If you don't come, don't come. The rich man shook his head helplessly. Anyway, we won't be able to conquer the Yuansha realm for a while. It's enough for us to restrain the old guys on the opposite side. Yeah, originally our primordial realm had one less great emperor than the primordial Sha realm. Fortunately, Brother Xingyao succeeded in ascending, so let's hand it over to the people below. No matter what this time, we have to charge some interest to come back. That's natural. For this day, I have blocked all the space outside the main city in advance, and I didn't let any news pass. It's time to make them suffer. As they spoke, the expressions of several great emperors became serious. This time, it is true that the original evil world has done too much. They don't say anything about uniting with other realms in the battlefield of 10,000 realms, and they also send spies to sneak into the primitive continent in an attempt to destroy their foundation. So after the silence, several great emperors looked at each other. Okay, let's do it. Just as several great emperors were negotiating in the sky, the lords below were already ready to fight. There are constantly lords coming from various places to join the team. And everyone is surrounded by all kinds of troops, standing on the ground or flying into the air, almost filling the plain between the main city and the checkpoint. It looks densely packed. Following the crowd, Lin You quickly came to the checkpoint and waited outside the huge cross-border teleportation array. But he didn't push to the front, because he found that the people waiting on the side of the teleportation array were basically lords above the 8th and 9th rank. Under the leadership of their respective kings, they are all gearing up and ready to fight at any time. In this comparison, these 7th order lords seem to be cannon fodder, come over to fill up. It seems this time it is the main battlefield of those high-ranking lords. For 7th order lords like them, it is better not to run to the front to die, so as not to know when they will be killed. While thinking about it, Lin You gradually retreated behind everyone. I heard that this time, 10 11th order kings personally led the team, preparing to capture the checkpoint and the main city of the original shaman world. Fuck. 10? That many? That's right, I was also taken aback when I first saw it. Look at the side, many kings of the 10th order have also come. It's incredible. I'm afraid this is enough for Yuansha realm to drink a pot, right? Never mind, we just need to steal chickens from behind, and the front lines are all for these big guys. That's right, now it's 10 times the points. If you steal one, you will earn it. 10 times the points reward. In other words, killing a few tier 7 lords can earn 1,000 points. 10 times for each level. Killing the 9th order is a full 100,000 points. You can directly change an architectural drawing, which is an opportunity that is usually not available. As for the 10th order and above, because there is a godhead, it is estimated that it is not easy to kill. But if you can kill one, it is also a huge gain for the kings, and it is no wonder that they will all come over. Lin You looked around the teleportation array. Finally, they found the team of their great wilderness principality in a place not far from him. At a glance, they saw Ji Xinghe at the front of the team, and Ji Yunshuang next to Ji Xinghe. Why is she here too? Lin You looked surprised. The 6th order lord came here, and it was no different from sending him to death. Could it be that this girl was stimulated by him and has risen to the 7th level? And when he was looking at Ji Yunshuang and the Great Wilderness Principality team also felt something, and suddenly turned around. First release on this site, fastest update. After the Lord level is raised, the perception is very keen. So Ji Yunshuang also found Lin You, who was looking at her in the crowd. Lin You? So you are here too? I am not here. Can I still lie in the territory and watch you harvest resources? Lin You couldn't help but secretly complained. I didn't expect that I would be discovered so quickly, and I wouldn't look at it if I knew it earlier. It was precisely because of Ji Yunshuang's cry that Ji Xinghe and the 8th 9th order lords behind him all turned to look at him. It turned out to be Lin You. Come on, come to my side. Ji Xinghe waved to Lin You with a kind smile on his face. The appearance of greeting his younger generation suddenly shocked the lords behind him, and looked at Lin You curiously. There was no way, with so much attention, Lin You had to bite the bullet and squeeze out the crowd, come to the team of the Great Wilderness Principality, and come to Jixinghe. Have seen the king. Haha, no gift, have you been here for a long time? Jixinghe didn't have the air of a king at all, and greeted Lin You. This made the other lords on the side even more stunned, even surprised. Who is this person? How could the king treat him like this? Lin You didn't know what they were thinking, and said casually, I just came here. Is the king going to personally lead the team to participate in the battle? Well, our mission this time is mainly to hold back the 10th Order lords on the opposite side and prevent them from attacking our lords. It would be best to kill a few 10th Order lords on the opposite side by surprise. Jixinghe didn't hide it. Said directly, Lin You suddenly realized when he heard the words. But before he could speak, Ji Yunshuang, who was beside him, had already interjected. Lin You, wait a minute, do we want to work together again? As soon as these words came out, the expressions of all the lords, including Jixinghe, became strange. Again? So you used to work together a lot? Jixinghe couldn't help asking. The other lords on the side showed a sudden realization, and seemed to finally understand why Jixinghe's attitude towards Lin You was so good. One by one looked at the two with I understand eyes. Fortunately, Jixinghe didn't bother about this matter, and said, this is also a good idea. Later, we may have to fight against the high-ranking lords on the opposite side. We can't take care of you, so it's better for you to stay behind. Alright, anyway, I'm just planning to be active on the periphery of the battlefield. Lin You nodded slightly. On the battlefield, teamwork is better than fighting alone, and he has no reason to refuse. Moreover, as Jixinghe's daughter, Ji Yunshuang must have a lot of powerful means after upgrading to the 7th rank, which is also a great help for him. As for the love of children? Is it important to have points and mana? That's all. After chatting with Jixinghe for a while, Lin You and Ji Yunshuang left the team, retreated outside the teleportation formation, and began to discuss the next tactics. Until more than half an hour passed. More and more High Lords flocked to the plains. A loud shout like a thunderstorm suddenly exploded in the sky. Attack! In an instant, a beam of light soaring into the sky lit up, covering the entire checkpoint. Then the beam of light gradually solidified, and a gate to the sky was built above the teleportation array to connect the heavens and the earth. Crack! There was a sound of something shattering. Cracks began to appear in the space in the gate of heaven. The cracks became more and more dense, gradually causing the entire space inside the door to vibrate violently, and also making all the surrounding lords feel tight. Finally, in a loud bang, the space inside the door was completely shattered, collapsing into a huge vortex. And behind the vortex is the location of the original Shujia checkpoint. Everyone obeys. Rush with me. Just listening to the 11th Order lords shouted, they suddenly rushed into the portal, and at the same time summoned out the terrifying arms. Come on. Kill. In an instant, roars and shouts of killing spread across the entire plain. It even spread to the original Shujia checkpoint through the vortex. The lords of the original Sha world who were still walking in the checkpoint were suddenly turned pale by the sudden change. Don't give them time to react at all. The lord of the primitive realm has already passed through the portal and madly poured into the checkpoint. Then, one by one, a large number of troops were summoned and spread out around. Not good. It's the original world. The people from the original world have attacked. Quick, go and inform the main city, what dash. Anxious shouts, accompanied by screams and screams, constantly echoed in every corner of the checkpoint. More and more primitive world lords emerged from the portal, frantically chasing and killing the surrounding primitive world lords. Watching them is like watching a moving library. At this time, the 2 rank 8 lords of the original Shujia who were stationed at the checkpoint also rushed out of the building with their respective arms. However, in the next second, a few huge flame venerables directly locked on them and rushed towards them. The extremely terrifying power suddenly changed their expressions. Tier 10 units. Run away. There was a storm in the hearts of the two, and the fear was extreme. There was no time to think about it, so he mounted the troops and turned around to flee, swiftly fleeing in the direction of the main city. Among them, the Phantom Beast Lord, who had suffered Lin Yu's losses before, also directly let the troops activate their skills, and the figure disappeared in the air. Unexpectedly, a disdainful snort sounded at this time. A mere 8th order, still want to escape from me? Die. The sound fell, and a monstrous flame suddenly fell, covering the entire area where the two were in an instant. The Phantom Beast Lord who had just disappeared was forced out at once, fled with the other 8th order lord, and the troops around him were directly burned to death. It's a bit of a skill to be able to escape me and not die. Go, they'll leave it to you. In the sky, Jixing has slowly appeared on the hurricane throne, composed of wind elements. And the few raging flame venerables who shot just now are also the troops under his hands. Not to mention the 8th 9th order lords around him. After receiving the order, they issued orders to their respective arms and surrounded the two lords. In just a few breaths, the two people who were seriously injured and dying were drowned by countless arms, was completely silent in the two shrill screams. Lin You, who had just passed through the teleportation portal, was shocked when he saw this scene. I didn't expect that the 8th order lord who made him so embarrassed before was killed so easily. It was terrifying. Let's go, let's also deal with those 7th order lords, be careful not to make a sneak attack. Lin You said directly to Ji Yunshuang next to him. Don't worry, my father gave me a very powerful unit that won't hold you back. Ji Yunshuang smiled proudly, and immediately summoned her new troops. A face armor with 3 pairs of wings surrounded by a long sword, surrounded by countless circles. Name, Holy Arbiter. Race, Angel, Hero. Level 7? Strength? Constitution? Agile? Spirit? Skills, Sword of Arbitration, Sentencing, Countdown to the End. The charges are established? Introduction. Angels are a rare type of troops, they are in charge of arbitration, they have the power to judge crimes, and all the falsehoods have nothing to hide in front of them. Rare troops? Lin Yu was startled, and looked at Ji Yunshuang's new unit in surprise. It would be nice to have a king dad. As soon as you level up, there are rare units as gifts. Unlike him, he still has to fight with people desperately, fight, or save points for exchange. It's really people to people, maddening people. And just when he was stunned, Ji Yunshuang's voice sounded again. My class is quite special. Not only is the attack ability very strong, but also all the skills and energy of the arms can be instantly restored to their original state, so you can use your skills. Chapter 218, The Holy Arbiter. Return all skills to their original state? Lin Yu said in surprise. This is not simply to clear the cooldown of skills, and even the energy that has been consumed will be restored as before. Sounds a bit like a skill like going back in time. If he guessed correctly, it should be the last skill called Countdown to the End. This Ji Yunshuang has indeed acquired a powerful unit. It made him feel a little jealous. But he didn't forget where they were now, he just said hello and waved his hand. Except for the ivy, a large area of plants was summoned by him. The exaggerated number immediately attracted the attention of other surrounding lords. Lin Yu, why did your troops suddenly change so much? Ji Yunshuang's eyes trembled, looking at the sudden appearance of the army of plants in shock. If she remembered correctly, Lin Yu's previous arms were only around 400, right? How come it's doubled now? Especially the leading arms, the momentum exuded from the whole body is actually comparable to the 8th order. Not to mention the Lingxi, beside Lin Yu, it was even more terrifying than the 8th order, which made her feel palpitated. Is this really the strength that a lord who has just upgraded to the 7th rank should have? However, without waiting for her to think about it, the surrounding screams pulled her back again. Let's go, don't worry about this for now, you have to speed up. Lin, you didn't explain much. Seeing that the lord of the original Sha world in the checkpoint was constantly being killed by the lords of the original world who appeared crazily, He immediately rushed to the two Tier 7 lords who were stubbornly resisting in the distance with his troops. The two lords are not weak, and there are more than 5 8th Order arms around them. Under the siege of several 7th Order lords in the primitive world, they fought and retreated, but they could barely support it. Quickly block those 8th Order troops. The of the original evil world, your time of death has come, so obediently suffer. Give me a full attack. Get out of the way. This head is mine. A shout, constantly echoing in the melee team. Those 7th Order lords attacked frantically, all wanting to grab the opponent's killing head as soon as possible. After all, that was 2,000 points, and all the magic energy on the opponent. Killing one is not a loss, killing two is a blood gain. On the side, other lords rushed over and joined the siege team. However, at this moment, a large number of plant troops suddenly appeared on the side, crowding out their team. What's the matter? Why do so many plants suddenly appear? This number is too exaggerated. The lords exclaimed again, and immediately turned to look at the source of the plant army. Just when Ji Yunshuang waved his arm, he summoned 2 seraphs surrounded by holy light. 8th Order, Holy Angel. It's actually the Holy Angel of a rare army. The lord's eyes widened in shock. Not to mention the 2 lords of the original evil world, all of them were horrified and retreated in panic. The Holy Angel arm, known as the strongest arm of the same rank, has almost full strength and intelligence attributes. It was already very difficult for them to be besieged by so many lords. The addition of these 2 8th Order Holy Angels was simply the last straw that broke the camel's back. Who dares to hesitate, immediately gather troops and try to escape. But at this moment, a low voice sounded. Lingxi, get rid of them. The voice fell, and a powerful force of nature suddenly erupted. Then, in the shocked eyes of all the lords, the wood thorns in the sky condensed and shot towards the 2 lords of the original Sha world. Quick! Block those attacks. The 2 original Shaman world lords exclaimed, and immediately recalled their respective 8th Order troops to their side, protecting them in the middle. Puff! The blood flower exploded. Those 8th Order arms were pierced by wooden thorns, without even blocking a single blow. The 2 lords didn't have time to react at all, and the wood thorns that penetrated were tied into a hornet's nest, and they died on the spot. The whole process took less than 10 seconds. Kill the 7th Order Lord of the Alien Plane, get 60,000 mana, and the 7th Order Territory Essence X1. Kill the 7th Order Lord of the Alien Plane, get 100,000 mana, and the 7th Order Territory Essence X1. Pooh. 2 7th Order poor ghosts. Lin You silently looked at the system prompt. The magic energy of these 2 guys combined is not enough for him to create half the price of a symbiotic moss, and he is really poor. But don't know. At this time, the other lords beside him looked at him as if they had seen a ghost, and Lingxi beside him, their eyes filled with horror. Just one hit, it killed 2 7th Order lords in seconds. And it was dropped in seconds under the protection of a bunch of Tier 8 arms. Could it be that he is the 8th Order Lord? Lin You, why did your unit suddenly become so strong? Ji Yunshuang looked at Lingxi dancing beside Lin You in shock. Originally, she was still thinking, and suddenly summoned 2 8th Order rare arms to show off. In the end, she didn't expect that before she made a move, the 2 7th Order lords were easily solved by Lin You, making her unable to react. I got some adventures in the battlefield of myriad realms, and my strength has improved a lot. Lin You shrugged and said casually. Is this the strength that can be achieved by adventure? Ji Yunshuang rolled his eyes at him. However, she was a smart person and knew that Lin You didn't want to say more, so she didn't ask any further questions. After a simple repair, he continued to surround and kill other lords of the original Sha world with his troops. There were shouts of killing all around, and there were lords and fierce battles everywhere, and the flames of war permeated the entire checkpoint. Inside the portal, the lords of the primordial realm continued to emerge, spreading rapidly around. Under this sudden attack, the original Shajia checkpoints did not last long. and they were all killed and completely occupied. Very good. Before they can react, follow me to capture the main city. Capture the main city. Come on. All of a sudden, all the lords of the primordial realm changed their direction, turning into a torrent and rushing away in the direction of the main city of the primordial Sha realm. The leading 11th Order lords even took the lead, tearing open the space directly and appearing over the main city of Yuansheji. The other lords of the 8th and 9th Orders, also led by the king of the 10th Order, crossed the plain and flocked to the main city. It's not good. It's from the primitive world. The people from the primitive world attacked. A lot of primitive world lords. Go and inform the city lord. The main city of the original Shajia exclaimed again and again, and made a mess in an instant. This time, the attack of the primitive world was too sudden, and it came to the outside of their main city so quickly, which directly caught them off guard. Old Wu. You go and destroy their teleportation formation, and the others will attack the formation with me. Among the 10 11th Order kings, one is the oldest, and the old man with grey hair said in a deep voice. Hearing his words, the kings took action one after another, condensing a terrifying power in front of them. Break it for me. Just listen to the old king shout. The attacks of the 9 kings turned into a streamer and attacked the main city. Boom! The deafening loud noise shook the entire frontier battlefield. Even the space around the main city of the original Shajia was completely annihilated and turned into nothingness. Under the raging of this violent energy, the giant magic circle that wrapped the main city finally clicked, cracks appeared, and finally collapsed in the void. The power of a blow from 9 11th Order kings. It actually directly broke the rules and protection of the main city. Who gave you the courage to come to my Dongli Empire, to be wild? At this moment, a voice that seemed to come from the ancient prehistoric era exploded in everyone's ears. A figure standing proudly between heaven and earth suddenly tore apart the space and appeared above the main city. That vast and boundless terrifying power suddenly shocked the faces of the 11th Order kings of the primitive realm, and they all retreated violently. Emperor Dongli. The old king who was at the head shouted in surprise, with endless astonishment in his eyes, but don't wait for them to think about it. A few thousand meters above the sky, there was a sound. Dongli, stay safe. It's you. The old man Chongfeng. The great Emperor Dongli looked up at the sky, and his face instantly sank. At the same time, several figures appeared beside him at the same time. Each of them exudes a power that is not weaker than the Emperor. They glanced at each other and disappeared in place in an instant. They went to the sky to confront the emperors of the primitive world. First release on this site, fastest update. The 11th Order kings below were overjoyed when they saw this. How could I miss this opportunity? When I raised my hand, a huge energy fell into the main city and exploded. It actually directly destroyed the teleportation array and the city wall in the city, breaking the teleportation channel of those lords. Even the lords of the 11th Order, if they want to rush over, they will not be able to do it in a short time. After all, not everyone has 9 godhead fragments like before the Holy Glory King, and can easily tear apart the space between continents. www.mtnovel.com. Although it is only a little time delay. But it was enough. Attack. With the order of the old king, the large troop from the rear finally arrived and rushed into the city under the leadership of the high-ranking lord. And those high-ranking lords of Yuansha realm who received the news also came from all directions to resist their pace. Even the kings around the Dongli Empire appeared one after another, but they were directly stopped by the old king and others on the primitive side, and they fought fiercely in the air. A time. The 2 men and horses turned into a torrent, slammed together fiercely, and spread out to all the streets of the main city. The screams and roars resounded through the sky, causing the entire world where the main city was located to vibrate violently. As for Lin You, these 7th Order lords. Because of the slow speed, they arrived more than 10 minutes late, and they also joined the battle one after another. Come on, let's go to the edge to hunt those 7th Orders. Seeing the extremely chaotic battlefield in the main city, Lin You made a decisive decision and rushed to the edge of the main city with Ji Yunshuang. There are 7th Order lords who are constantly coming from around the main city, which is a good time for them to make a lot of magic energy and the essence of the territory. Come on. Kill all the junk in the primordial realm. Get them all out. A large number of the 7th Order lords of the original Sha world emerged crazily and joined the battle. Many of them are lords who belong to the Dongli Empire and whose territory is nearby. Or it is the kingdom and principality that is relatively close, and open the long-distance teleportation array to send over to support. It happened to meet with the 7th Order team of the primitive world that had just arrived, and rushed frantically. And the flames of war in the main city also spread rapidly to the east of the empire. Chapter 219. The city is broken, the war spreads. Lin You. Over there. Several 7th Order lords rushed over. I'm here to block them. You look for opportunities to sneak attack. Some corner of the battlefield is fighting. Ji Yunshuang and Lin You kept commanding their respective units, frantically attacking the emerging lords of the original Shajia. The vines in the sky are intertwined with the holy light, forming an extremely grand picture in a corner of the battlefield. And under the combined attack of the two, pieces of the original Shajia troops fell down continuously. Even from time to time, you can take the opportunity to steal a few 7th Order heads. In just half an hour, they each obtained 5 or 6 7th Order territorial essences, which was incredibly fast. The surrounding lords of the original world also seemed to feel their threat, and immediately several 7th Order lords stared at them and rushed towards them. Looking closely, there are actually more than a dozen 8th Order. The 7th Order arms are even more numerous, and they come to them in a blink of an eye. Qinggang. Lin You directly gave an order to Qinggang, who was at the forefront of the team. Next second, Qinggang roared in the sky, causing all the arms and the immortal flower just created a red light to appear. Even Ji Yunshuang's angel armies were boosted, and their attributes were suddenly mentioned. What's going on? How did these units suddenly become stronger? Come here to support. It's almost unbearable here. The lord of the original Shajia exclaimed again and again, desperately resisting the attacks of the army of plants and the angels. However, the difference in attributes was too large, and it was impossible to break through the iron wall made of ancient war trees. In a blink of an eye, the mushroom army led by the mushroom demon king was blown up, and then fell one by one in the attack of countless vines. Ji Yunshuang's movements were not slow either. Cooperate with the plants to drop a series of holy light attacks to kill those troops that rush up. The fallen corpses turned into flowers of death and joined the battle after a while, causing the entire Yuansha realm team to suddenly be empty. Lingxi. Lin You would never let go of this great opportunity. Seeing that the troops standing in front of the lord of the original Shajia were emptied, he immediately issued an order to Lingxi beside him. Immediately afterwards, Lingxi waved her staff and pointed out of thin air. Countless thorns suddenly rushed out from below, tying up the few lords of the Yuansha realm who were just about to retreat. Quickly return to defense. The lords shouted in shock, desperately trying to break free from the thorns on their bodies. And their troops also returned to the defense one after another, blocking the follow-up attacks of the plants and saving them. But at this time, a high-pitched dragon roar suddenly sounded in the sky. The demon king dragon, who was fighting with the flying units on the opposite side, suddenly became powerful, smashed the units in front of him into flesh with one claws, and then landed with a bang. The airwaves caused by the terrifying power suddenly sent all the arms flying out, leaving the surrounding lords empty again. Do not. Several 7th Order lords were stunned, watching the huge dragon claws of the demon king dragon crash down. Boom! There was a violent explosion, and the blood flower exploded instantly. Kill the 7th Order Lord of the Alien Plane, get 290,000 mana, and the 7th Order Territory Essence X1. Kill the 7th Order Lord of the Alien Plane, get 100,000 mana, and the 7th Order Territory Essence X1. Kill the 7th Order Lord of the Alien Plane, get 160,000 mana, and the 7th Order Territory Essence X1. Hearing the reminder sound that kept ringing in his mind, even Lin You was startled. He did not expect that the Demon King Dragon, which had symbiotic moss, was under the blessing of a savage roar. It can be so fierce. Is this the strength of rare units? It really deserves to be a class known for its strength, and even killed a few 7th Orders without even using combined skills. Once his territorial essence reaches 10, he can upgrade one more tier 8 unit. Really? War is the fastest way to get rich. According to this trend, it is estimated that it will not be long before he can upgrade to 10 8th Orders. Be careful, more people are coming our way. At this time, Ji Yunchuang's shout suddenly sounded next to him, interrupting Lin Yu's thoughts. He raised his head and looked into the distance. Sure enough, a group of 7th Order lords came to hear the news and directly filled the gap just now. The menacing appearance was obviously aimed at them. It seems that the movement they made by killing a large number of lords of the Yuansha realm just now was regarded as a thorn in the side by the other side. Lin You and Ji Yunchuang looked at each other. The tacit understanding of cooperation for a long time did not need to be said at all, and he hurriedly retreated with the troops, showing the enemy to be weak. At the same time, the Holy Arbiter, beside Ji Yunchuang, suddenly raised the great sword in his hand and carved a clock pattern above their heads. It is the third skill of the arbitrator, the countdown to the end. In an instant, a magical force enveloped Qin Gang's entire body, reversing all of its states back to the state it had just launched the barbaric roar. There was another roar, and red light rose again from the plants and the angels. When the group of 7th Order lords reacted, it was already too late. The army of plants and the army of angels that had returned suddenly erupted. By surprise, he launched a violent attack on them. Damn it! Didn't he just use this group buff? How did he recover so quickly? Be careful. Those plants are coming. The Lord of the original Sha world exclaimed again and again, desperately resisting, but found that Lin Yu's plant arms were extremely ferocious. In particular, the first few troops covered in moss instantly overwhelmed their defenses and drove straight to where they were. His troops are too strong. Retreat! Retreat! Fast retreat! In the panicked shouts, several lords of the original Shajia hurriedly retreated, wanting to evacuate the battle circle. But didn't notice. I don't know since when, their feet had been covered with green grass. Then just after taking 2 steps back, they grabbed their necks one by one, opening their mouths suddenly and gasping for breath. Even their bodies, like losing gravity, slowly lifted into the air. Blade grass skills, vacuum. Launch. Without giving them a chance to react at all, a blade of grass turned into a sharp blade and shot out into the air. The movements of other plants and angels were not slow, and immediately rushed out from both sides. The attacks flying all over the sky drowned the lords in the blink of an eye, and a large number of screams were heard. As for the remaining lords of the original Sha world, it was a chill, and there was no morale. In this way, Lin You and Ji Yunchuang solved one by one in the horizontal push, and a pleasant reminder continued to sound in their minds. Looking at the accumulated resources in their personal space, the two of them were happy and chased after the victory. But they didn't notice. As the front moved forward, they were getting closer and closer to where the 10th and 11th Order lords fought in the sky. Wrong, it's not that they're getting any closer. But the battles of those kings are spreading to the surrounding area. Dian, are you capable of this? You haven't seen it for a few years, and your strength has regressed. Hundreds of meters above the sky. The 11th Order Old King who led the team of the Primordial Realm laughed arrogantly, and beat an 11th Order Lord of the Primordial Sha realm into defeat. Wherever the two went, the space collapsed. Every time the arms fight, it will trigger a terrifying spatial turbulence, smashing everything around it. The Lord of the original Shajia known as Dian looked gloomy and wanted to fight back, but was still pressed and beaten by the Old King. You can only fight while retreating, destroying the sky and destroying the earth wherever you go. Obviously, the strength of the Old King is higher than him, at least he has more godhead fragments than him. Seeing that his troops were constantly retreating under the attack of the old king, it was inevitable. The lord finally turned a stern face, clasped his claws with both hands, and suddenly grabbed hard in the direction of the low-level lord's battle line below. That terrifying and boundless power suddenly made the old king's face change wildly. Damn it! Stop it! However, his response was slow. In other words, I didn't expect the other party to be so shameless, and even take action on low-level lords. Hearing a loud bang, cracks suddenly appeared in the madly surging primitive realm team below, spreading rapidly around. And Lin You and Ji Yunshuang in the team were right next to them. Careful! Ji Yunshuang exclaimed, her face turning pale. This accident happened so suddenly. Even Lin You, who was attacking the enemy lord, did not react, and the surrounding space completely collapsed. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the place they were in turned into a void, engulfing them completely, and getting involved in the terrifying spatial turbulence. On the side, it was accompanied by the screams of the lords, all of which were smashed into pieces by the turbulent space. The whole scene is like a catastrophe on Earth. Lin Yu's heart was extremely heavy. He didn't expect to be involved in this disaster, and he was caught off guard. Although he was already resisting desperately, he still felt that those spatial turbulence were like sharp knives, madly cutting his body. With his seventh-order body, there is simply no way to resist. In the blink of an eye, he was twisted into a mess, almost fainted, and even his vision became dazed. He could only watch his body being swallowed up by the turbulent currents, getting further and further away from the outside world. And at this critical moment, a rule force suddenly emerged from him, wrapping his entire body. This familiar power suddenly shocked Lin You. The power of rules. It is the power of the rules on the Godhead shards. Lin, you didn't expect that at this time of life and death, the fragments of the Godhead actually came into play. I saw that under the wrapping of that soft power, he finally barely resisted the invasion of spatial turbulence, and looked around with difficulty. First release on this site, fastest update. He was now in an endless void. There are broken spaces and turbulence all around, and there are clumps of shredded flesh. And not far from him, a comatose figure wrapped in a light curtain appeared in his eyes. Ji Yunshuang. Isn't the person in the light curtain Ji Yunshuang? Unexpectedly, she still has such passively triggered protective treasures, so that she cannot die in this chaotic void. This should be the last trump card Ji Xinghe left her. But even so, if there is no way to escape from here, the light curtain will be consumed sooner or later, and it will be impossible to escape death. Even himself. No. Gotta find a way to escape this space. Lin Youqiang supported the last trace of consciousness, and controlled the power of the rules to push himself to Ji Yunshuang's side. Just at this moment, the space beside them was suddenly washed away by the dense turbulent flow, and cracks appeared. It's now. Lin Yu's heart sank, and she directly used the last bit of strength to slam open the crack with Ji Yunshuang, rushing out of the chaotic space. Immediately after. Only to hear a muffled thud, and a sharp pain hit. Lin You finally couldn't hold it any longer and passed out completely in a coma. Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.